Hey, hello. Hello. Hi, everybody. David Gordon from TheaterMania here. It's Wednesday. I don't know what day it is. It's Wednesday, May 20th. They all blend in together. Here with Sarah Stiles, one of my all-time favorites. Recently of TOOTSIE, genius of Hand to God, star of Bleeding Love, a new podcast that is available now.
Yeah. Hi. Am I on now?
You're on now. We're all good now. Yeah, no, we're all good now.
How does this work?
The internet. I know. I know. It's a new adventure for all of us.
Right.
I'm waiting for someone to do a streamed reading of Hand to God that everybody does with like literal socks.
Oh gosh, that would be great. We should do that.
You should do that.
All the characters are puppets.
Yeah.
Except maybe the puppet characters, then they could be humans. It'd be like so warped.
Who has the Tyrone puppet now? Do you know who has the Tyrone puppet? Like who is in possession of that thing?
I think Steven has the original one, original from like EST. But I think they're all being shipped around the country and rented, probably.
Yeah. But so Bleeding Love.
Bleeding Love.
I had Rebecca Naomi Jones on yesterday.
Oh, I love her. Isn't she great? And the cast is bananas. I'm such a fan. Yeah.
It's you and her and Annie Golden and Taylor Trench and Kudish and just so many cool people.
It's so cool, and everyone's voices are so different, and everyone's such a genius at like what they bring to the table. And I am a big fan of this podcast. I think it's really, or is that what you call it? Do you call it a podcast?
I think you can call it a podcast.
Audio drama or whatever it is. I think
it's fabulous. A podcast if nobody is listening to it on their way to work because there's no way to work anymore.
Right.
How did you come?
We're fine. Everything's fine.
Everything is okay. We're all good. How did you come to be involved with this?
I did it at NAMPT a bajillion years ago. And that's when I first was introduced to it. And then a couple years later, we ended up doing the demo, which was all the music, none of the spoken, well, a little bit of the spoken word, but not the play. And then they called me within days of this whole quarantine thing happening and asked if I would be a part of doing this podcast version. I'm like, hell yeah, I need something to do. And also I love the piece, and they got everybody from the demo to do it, which I couldn't believe. I mean, but of course, I guess everyone was the same thing. We're all at home, like wanting to create. Yeah. So that was my story, but it's been like a very long time. It's been like 6 or 7 years since I first was introduced to this thing.
How did the writers adapt a stage musical, which I presume was like a regular, like 90-minute, 2.5 hour stage show? Like, how did they adapt it into what, like 3 or 4 half-hour episodes?
Well, it actually broke up in this beautiful way into sort of chapters. You know, it's funny because I guess there would have been, I don't know if there was an intermission. I don't know. However it was, it worked out like with great cliffhangers in these 3 sections, evenly spaced. So they did that. They figured out where those breaks would be. And then they had Kudish, who already was playing, he was playing the super, who already kind of has a bit of a narrator kind of thing going on anyways in the actual show, and they just expanded upon that so that he would describe more of what's going on. If you needed some, if because you didn't get the visual, he would help out in that way. So it didn't change that much, honestly. It really didn't. It was like already ready to go.
Did you guys record it together, or did you? Yeah. That's awesome.
Oh, it was so cool, and everyone was sort of linked in, right? And then if they had like 10 pages off or whatever, they would just mute themselves and, you know, do whatever in their apartment. And then they get a text message and they'd be like, okay, come back on. And then they'd come back on and turn their video on. We had video and we had audio through, they were recording on Zencaster, which I guess is a program that like records very high quality. So so we were able to see each other. We were able to record and bounce back and forth, and we spent one entire day doing it. And Bronwyn, my character, is start to finish through the whole thing. So I sat in my booty and for like 8 hours did this, you know, recording, and it was a great day. I was exhausted by the end of it. That's the thing I miss the most. I miss being like emotionally and physically exhausted from creativity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's hard to do that like on your own. You can, but like in a group and in collaboration, and there's just that like energy and vibe. And we were still able to get a lot of that. It felt like a tech day or something.
Were you like, so in Tootsie, you
Mhm.
had the big song that just kept repeating throughout the show whenever you would come in.
Yeah.
Were you exhausted by the end of that show?
Yes. Doing Tootsie was one of the hardest. That was one of the hardest years of my life, truly.
Was it really?
Yeah. I mean, I will add that I was also shooting Get Shorty in Vancouver
right.
and Billions in New York. So I was, and that's not like just bragging about it. I was pretty full tilt, exhausted,
So
and
you were
extended.
flying. You would fly like Sunday afternoons or Sunday evenings.
Well, we had weird days off. So like I'd usually get like one day off from Tootsie. So I would fly like Sunday night, take Monday off, come back on a red eye, or like there were a couple days where I came back on Wednesday morning. I'd land, go sleep in my dressing room for a couple hours, and then we would do 2 shows. And every time I'd leave the stage, because Sandy would leave the stage and be off for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Just like my dresser would be like, "Wake up!"
And it's not like, I didn't realize. It's funny. My wife used to fly to Vancouver, working every now and then to work on a show, and I didn't realize until she started doing it that Vancouver is not like on the East Coast. Like I thought she would be like, "I'm flying to Vancouver," and I was like, "Oh, that's like an easy flight," like thinking it was like Toronto or something, not realizing that it's like.
I felt the same way about Vancouver. I'm like, oh, it's Canada. This is going to be so much easier. And it's not. It's certainly not. Yeah, it definitely, and it's beautiful there, but I wish I shot a whole season of Shorty in Vancouver. And I guess we did all my scenes so compacted and in such short bursts that I really didn't get to see any of it. I saw my hotel room for the couple minutes I could keep my eyes open. But yeah, I mean, I was flying the Sunday after the Tonys and shooting like 4 episodes, and you heard about that too. They put Tootsie into it. Yeah.
Yeah. What was that?
Y'all watch Get Shorty.
Get Shorty is a great show, by the way.
Yeah.
Get Shorty is a great show based on the movie, or inspired by the movie.
Inspired by the books, really. All those books. Yeah. No, but it was crazy. But yeah, I will tell you that song was a beast, and it was super hard to sing, and I had a lot of vocal problems because it just was relentless, and because you couldn't take a full breath ever, all of the breathing was happening up here. So I had to get so much work done because the muscles in my neck were just like crazy. I would lose my voice not because of my vocal cords, because the muscles around it were so swollen, they'd squeeze them. Gross. But yeah, had a lot of those weird scopy things.
Big Yazbek is a genius.
Oh my God. Listen, I'm not sad that I did that was my number, but it was definitely hard. It was definitely hard.
If you have questions for Sarah, pop them in the comments. We can get to that.
Is anyone out there?
A lot of people.
Are there?
There's a whole
handful, in the teens even. Just kidding. It's fine. Everything is fine.
There are tens of people watching, as I like.
Yeah.
So they worked. How long did it take you to learn that song? Well,
I did a bunch of the workshops and readings leading up to it. So I guess the first time it became clear to me very early on that in order to really sell it in these workshops and also to feel comfortable, I had to get off book with it. So I think by the time we did some table reads where I wasn't, but then by the time we got it sort of on its feet and with music stands, about a year before we went into production, I learned it then. And so I've known it for a while now, but it took, it's really annoying. You're glad you didn't live with me. My fiance's children still talk about how annoying that was.
Could you still do it? I don't want you to do it now, but could you still?
I don't think it will ever go away. Because also, if you want to know the truth, because I'm a little neurotic and anxious like Sandy. I mean, it's not a question why I got that role. But, and also, most of us actors, creative types are. But anyway, I sang it during the overture of the show every single night before I went on stage. Because I would do it as fast as I could.
So you spent.
Yeah. Yeah. As quick as I could, because I also had to sort of get my tongue around it every night. And I'm superstitious.
Right.
So it's like, I have to do it. I've been doing it from the beginning. It was
How
great.
did they? So the plot line on Get Shorty is you audition for Tootsie and you get Tootsie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you get your role in Tootsie.
Yeah. And go to New York. Yeah. And then my husband on the show comes and sees the opening night, and we hang out in my dressing room, and like, yeah, it's crazy.
How did they write that in?
Well, Gladys, my character, started off as the secretary of Ray Romano's character, who's like a producer, low-end movie producer. And but then you find out, because Davey Holmes, who is a showrunner, wrote it, created it, found out that I could sing and that I had this whole Broadway career. He didn't know that when I got cast. So when he found that out and started doing his research on all of that, he got very excited. And so he decided he was going to make Gladys a secret that her dream is to be a singer. So they wrote in the first season, I sing, and then and reveal that to the guy that I'm seeing, Lewis, who eventually becomes my husband. And then he works to get me a singing gig. And I sing in every season. I sing the second season. I do my ukulele song from Squirrel Heart. I got to give a shout out to Squirrel Heart, which is happening.
We're going to get to that.
But the song that I sing in Squirrel Heart, one of the songs that I end the show with, I sang in Get Shorty. So it's sort of like a thing. I guess we got to figure out Billions, man. Bonnie Barella's got to she's got to get some sort of tunes going on. Karaoke, maybe. I think she'd be a little more aggressive. Her taste is a little more aggressive.
So when did they come to you with, we're going to cast Gladys and Tootsie on the show?
Because they had to give the go-ahead to release me out of my series reg contract in order for me to do Tootsie, because I desperately wanted to do Tootsie, but I couldn't do Tootsie and Get Shorty as a series regular, because then they would have control over. It's all about availability. So they, and to his credit, Davey Holmes and Scott Sanders, the producer of Tootsie, who is a huge fan of Get Shorty, they got on the phone, started talking about it, and they came up with this whole plan that they're like, well, we can afford to, sort of keep her, if you promise me that we can have her when she's available, when it's not going to hurt your production, to Scott, this is what they were saying, then and fly her out and do some of my episodes as a recur, then we'll write her in as basically Gladys booked Tootsie, and she's away in New York. So it explains why I'm not around a lot.
That's so weird and genius.
Isn't it the coolest? Yeah.
And you recorded it in Vancouver. So you recorded
Vancouver with earbuds to a audience of extras and the crew, and they couldn't hear the accompaniment. So you can only imagine how insane it sounded when I started singing. They were all like, "What is good?" But it was actually super fun, because a lot of them had never seen anything like that, and they were super excited about it. So it was a great day. It was a great 4 days that I shot, and it was right after the Tony. So there's just so much. It was actually a great release and sort of way to play this character in a totally different way and in front of different people. And it very much refreshed me in that time that can be so depleting, because it's just so exhausting.
We were playing the luncheon game this time.
Oh my god, it's so hard. It's so wonderful, but it's so wild.
People that don't live it don't know what it is.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's an experience for you guys. I'm just the help. I just stand there taking pictures. But
it's wonderful. I would love to get back there over and over again. But every time I say, this time you won't have a nervous breakdown. Maybe one day that will be true. I don't know.
We first met really during Hand to God.
Yeah.
Which is one of my all-time favorites.
Love that show.
What was that experience like? Because you did Hand to God for a while. You did it for a while on Broadway. You did it.
I did it off Broadway. Yeah, I did. I only did the MCC production, and then we went to Broadway with it. So it wasn't as much as Geneva and Steve, but I loved every second of that. And what made that easier, because I loved Sandy and I loved Tootsie, but what made it easier to do Hand to God for me for that long is because Jessica, my character, was just like so chill and so earthbound and smart and like just very centered.
Yeah.
So to jump into her shoes and say her words and live her life every night was very comforting, and also I think really made me grow as a human. Like
That show was fantastic.
it was fantastic. Yeah.
And it got Kudish was great, and Bob Saget, who replaced Kudish, was such a different kind of great.
I know. I actually would love to see. I'm sure they're doing it regionally everywhere. I should pop.
Yeah.
I need to see a production of it because I'm sure it's one of those shows that can be done so many different ways and be awesome. I think.
Just the puppet sex scene. I mean, and you've done puppet sex scenes before.
I have. I'm an expert.
Yeah.
I put them into my solo show.
Yeah. Just scream. Let's talk about that. Squirrel Heart is going to be on from the Biz Pub. It's going to be airing on, I guess, their site.
Yeah. So you go to their it's on the Joe's Pub site. It's Friday at 8:00. They're live streaming. It's part of their archival live stream, and I'm gonna like live chat during it too. Cool. And yeah, I'm super excited to revisit it. It was 2 years ago, so it was a very different time in my life. So much has changed since then, but it was so important for me creatively and like as a writer and all of the, as a creator of content. It was the first thing that I ever did, and so it'll always be so special to me because it was just this like very pure, like very authentically me kind of.
What is it for the people that don't like? Can you describe it a little bit?
It's a whimsical kind of. We always called it a highly caffeinated, emotional, whimsical, quirky, wild ride. I mean, there's an arc to it, and there's story, and it's about love and it's really about like inner love and finding that, but it's silly, and there's lots of great musical theater stuff, but there's also some original music, and there's a lot of costume changes and puppets and palm trees. I don't know. There's a merkin. Can I say that? Look it up. Yeah, there's weird stuff. It's a weird, funny, bizarro show, but it makes me very happy, and I'm excited to share it.
And it's delightful. It's so you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited.
Going back to Bleeding Love.
Yes.
Which is available.
Have you listened to it? You've listened to it, yeah?
It's cool.
Cool.
It's really dark.
I know it is.
Can you describe that? Can you describe that for like, what is it, like just a general overview of what that's about?
It's hard because, my sister was asking, is it appropriate for my niece and nephew who are young? They're like 6 and 8. And I was like, yeah. Oh, no, probably not. I'm like, I mean, they probably won't get the stuff that like would maybe be inappropriate, but it's still, you're right. There is a darkness to it. There is a grit and a rawness to it, but there's also the central character is this like fairy tale kind of pure ingenue. So it's like the world is, I don't know. It feels like it'd be this like cult classic, like a Little Shop or like that kind of. It's got that kind of vibe about it. That's the way I feel, anyway.
It's the kind of dark. I haven't been able to watch anything like dark this whole
right,
year.
Truly dark, right? Yeah.
Right. Like I haven't been able to do. I've always wanted to rewatch The Sopranos, like stuff like that.
I understand that.
I just can't do that. But this for me is it's just sort of. It's not.
It's funny. It's weirdly funny, and it's over the top in a lot of ways. But it's also very grounded and rooted in this like very simple, magical kind of story that is very positive and uplifting. But there's chaos around it. So
and it's so much fun to hear all of your voices.
Yeah, yeah, that is fun.
It's like I'm missing all for anybody that's missing like the Broadway thing, it's just nice to hear all of these voices.
Well, you know what's funny is I hadn't heard Kudish sing in a while because I'd done Hand to God with him.
Right.
And then I'd worked with him on Billions again. So like I forgot that voice is insane.
Yeah.
It's like an insane instrument.
Girl from the North Country was our last show.
And I didn't get to see that yet. So I hope yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
actually,
it will be
it's funny. I had Kudish on a couple weeks ago doing this with me. With Michael Park and James Vanderbeek. And
I saw that.
What I did not realize is that the three of them are best friends, and I just had no idea.
Wait, you put them all together and you didn't realize that they were best friends?
I mean, I realized that's why we put them together. I didn't realize before. I realized it was only at the Girl from the North Country opening where I found out about that.
Yeah.
Like, I got to keep that in my back pocket. That would be fun to do something with the three of them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. No, he's great. Yeah, the voices are just... And then Tony and Rebecca just like fully...
Yeah. And they'd worked together before.
Yeah.
They did American Idiot together.
And I think Taylor's him and Annie are both like, they are so unique. There's no one like them. And the way they deliver dialogue and they interpret story, I think is so special and so entertaining. I really, truly loved working with this whole group. It was really, really fun. And I think you should listen to it because it's wonderful.
And Annie's voice. Annie's voice is crazy. Every now and then I'll remember that she's like a full-on punk rocker.
Wait, what do you mean?
Annie Golden? Yeah. She had a punk band back in the day.
Okay, I did not know this. This is new to me, and I am a fan, so I feel stupid now. I have to check that out. Can you look all that up?
I'm gonna my keyboard dropped, but I'm gonna just double check that.
Double check. That's very exciting. It wouldn't surprise me. She's so fierce.
She was the lead singer of the band The Shirts, which she fronted in the 70s. And she's like done stuff at the CBGB. And
oh my God. I feel like such a dum-dum. I did not know that.
No, it's like stuff that you wouldn't like Mark Kudish and James Van Michael Park being friends unless you like really know it. Why would you?
Right. I guess that's true.
Like, any part of your life you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. I love that.
I know. So Bleeding Love is on the Broadway Podcast Network.
Yes.
Dropping it up there. Thanks, Katie Resin, as always.
I know. She's amazing.
Amazing. Squirrel Heart is going to be on the Joe's Pub.
Yep. Friday at 8.
Are you excited? Are you the kind of person that can like watch your stuff? Like, do you watch Get Shorty and Billions and
through a hateful lens? It's like an accident I can't like look away from. And then ultimately 6 months later I can revisit it and go, oh, all right. That wasn't so bad. It's just because that's the different, like doing all the TV and film stuff feels so different in your head. Yeah. You think it's looking like something, and then when you see it and it's so different than what you pictured, you think it's wrong somehow, and so then you hate it. At least that's my journey. But then when you can like let it go and forget what you did, then you can actually like sit and enjoy it. So there have been some things I've enjoyed. There's been some things that I've hated.
Have you watched Squirrel Heart? Like, did you see the video?
I did. It took me that especially, I did not revisit for, I think, like 8 months. And we had a great video. My brother is a filmmaker and he filmed it. So this is like a really beautiful, he captures it. So he used 2 cameras. I mean, it's really gorgeous. And yes, I did revisit it, and some of it makes me cringe. Whatever. It's a live show. That's all you. It's so personal. Like, vomit.
Yeah.
I'm going to be stressed.
I can't watch these.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad I'll be with my boyfriend and my new puppy and just like drinking a lot of wine probably. Yeah. Which is nicer than when I actually did it, which I was just like so nervous. I didn't eat all day and still managed to like puke right before I went on because it was so scary. That's the scariest thing. Doing your own show and your own material. That is the most nervous I've ever been in my entire life. And I have been nervous, y'all.
Yeah.
crazy.
Sarah, thank you for everything. Thank you for talking to me.
Of course.
I appreciate your time. People watching at home, I'm going to be back at 4 with Lee Sunday Evans and Arian Moya to talk about Waterwell Theater and their Fleet Week Follies coming up. Bleeding Love is on the Broadway Podcast Network. Squirrel Heart on Joe's Pub's website. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good one.